appreciate it. I guess let's start with Audrey. Who, if you had to introduce her to somebody who's never met her before, how would you introduce Audrey?
She didn't need any introduction. She would come to you, and she just was a loving, caring, compassionate child. We taught her that there was no difference in the world, to not judge people by their exterior, to learn their heart. She was amazing. She loved coming to work with me and helping with the elderly folks, bring in little Christmas gifts, or just whatever she could do. She was just full of love and life.
And she was creative in a way that amazed us sometimes, that she would paint a picture. I mean, she's 11 years old, so she still was learning, but our refrigerator was often covered with all of her little drawings and paintings that she did, and we encouraged it. We gave her coloring sets, and she would make them and hand them out to people, teachers at school, other kids in her class.
People in our families. So she loved her artwork. And animals. She was the animal lover extraordinaire. She wanted to be a vet. She wanted to work with animals. She said either vet or animal trainer.
Really?
She didn't care if it was both. She was so full of ambition.
What were some of the things that Audrey loved to do, loved to be?
Animals. Any animal in this neighborhood knew Audrey, and Audrey knew them. She loved all of her pets. They're all rescues, and she treated them like they were completely loved and groomed them, and she just, anything to do with animals and art, that's all.
And she quite often, throughout the neighborhood, she would help other neighbors with their animals, take them for walks, stop and pet them on her way to school or way home. We could even hear her going to school because the dogs would bark, and she would go over and say hi to them. And that's just who she was. That's why the neighborhood just turned out. They all knew her, even more than we understood. All the neighbors knew her because she would stop and say hi to them, talk to them. One of the neighbors gave her a bicycle so she could ride it to the bus stop. Another neighbor let her park her bicycle in front of their house to get on the bus. Her dog would jump over the fence and follow her to the bus stop. And then he would come right back and lay down outside their kennel. And then
time for school, it's like the dog had a time clock in it. She'd walk over and walk her part way home. She had that kind of bond with her animals.
Yeah.
And you said she liked to spend a lot of time in the backyard?
This was her playground. She'd run and play with her brother, let the dogs out and play with them, play with the cats. We started a garden, her and I, and we were supposed to do that before she went missing. And I made a promise, so I'm keeping my promise. But that was our peace. We wanted to break away from everything. We wanted to just have a peaceful time, and that's what we did. If she wasn't out here playing, we were out playing in the dirt, attempting and I used the word attempting, to grow things. She was so proud that we had radishes and jalapenos. We just thought we had grown like the bumper crop. But any little thing was big to her.
And she did odd jobs for me, cleaned my shop, helped with the recycling, so she could earn a little money. And the next thing we know, we're at church, and she puts that money in the collection at church. Not for herself. It was always for others.
You wanted to do this interview today. Why?
I want Audrey's story out. I want people to understand there's so much disinformation. There's too many things that people don't know. So many people are focused on the monster.
And he's not the story. He is not the story. He will be when he goes to court. But right now it's about the families. It's about Audrey. The reason why she captivated East Texas when the Amber Alert went out is because of who she was, who she became as a young lady. She was only 11, but she had a personality that was much older, much bigger.
And you say the story's not about the monster. Do you feel like the narrative has been like that?
A lot of people have made it more about the monster, more about how did a monster like that get here? Blame. They like blaming everybody. And the fact of the matter is, they're not blaming the right people. There is blame to be placed, yes. And if they want that story, yeah, that's about the monster. With a little girl who trusted and loved without condition, that needs to be the story. It's not about him. What he did was awful. And I will always have to live with that. But I didn't see that monster. There wasn't any way to get all that information. Put blame where it's at. With him, with a flawed legal system that allowed for all these things to happen, and me to not have that ability. There is a lot of love that's been shown. But the people that are hateful, you don't understand. You have no idea how much I blame myself. How much I blame. I have enough guilt and hate for myself because of it. I used the tools I was given, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
We saw the good side of him. I mean, he showed us what he wanted us to see. He was formerly incarcerated, but we had no idea. We checked his sex offender registry, and he did not show up on it. We had friends that knew him years and years ago that said he was a good guy that just got caught up in bad things, and he admitted to many of the things that he had done, but none of them were anywhere near what happened.
He played us all. He showed us a side that wanted to get clean and that everything he had done was attributed to drugs. And it wasn't. But because he was so convincing and forthcoming with what he said, and that he wanted to get off the drugs, and he wanted a new life, I mistakenly and stupidly believed that. But before all that, because my granddaughter and my daughter and everybody in this house was important to me, I checked that sex offender registry. I checked that sex offender registry because I thought I was protecting her. And it didn't show up. Because somebody allowed him to plead down and not have to register. And that one thing could have saved my granddaughter. Because he never would have been here. Never.
But because we accepted him for who he was and tried to help him get a second start. I mean, that's what our faith believes, is you forgive. He had served his time. Nobody was giving him help. Nobody was. He was homeless. And so we said, we have a camper out back. You could stay in that. And he was getting odd jobs. He had a girlfriend. He was starting to get his life together. We don't understand what happened. We don't want to understand what triggered what happened. Audrey loved him, treated him like part of the family. We just don't understand.
I go through every day, was there a sign of anything? Every day I wonder if I missed something. But I don't know. I never saw any indication that she was being harmed. If she was, you would have seen those signs, and I never saw them.
Do you feel that you were aware of his history, and you were going to give him a second chance like a lot of people were passing over on him, and you went a step further and you checked that registry? Did you feel that gave you peace of mind and that you did your due diligence before letting somebody stay here?
I did.
That was our largest concern, because I think people have come to depend on the registry you look on it, and unfortunately that is part of our society. And some of it is earned. Some of them are truly needed to be on the registry. Some of them they got caught up in the moment and they wound up on the registry. So there is gray areas in the registry. But then there's a big dark hole where people who committed a sexual assault wound up plea bargaining down to a misdemeanor, and because it's only a misdemeanor, they didn't have to register. That's the hole that we want to work on closing. Crime Stoppers of Houston have offered to help us go to the Texas State Legislature and promote a bill, which we're going to call Audrey's Law, to help close that loophole. If they started out with a sexual assault and they plea bargain it down, they still should register, so people know that that person has that history. And then you can make up your decision and base your actions on that. We just didn't have the tools. And to do background checks on everybody, they're extremely expensive.
So going through all of this, you want to help other families so they never have to be in this situation again?
Absolutely, yeah. We're planning on
to feel this pain. So many people don't understand how much it hurts.
And
it's something I have to live with for the rest of my life.
And we look at the Amber Alert system. It is being used more and more and more. And I don't know if that indicates change in society, but it indicates that there is problems out there in society. And we would like to help be part of the solution, not for our personal gain, but for the memory of Audrey. She was a wonderful child and became a victim of senseless violence. And there's far too many kids that are in that same situation that we would like to somehow help them.
We know there's other families doing exactly the same thing somewhere. And I don't want them to have to go through this. There's other families that are giving in nature. How do they know? I don't want to see this happen again. Not to anyone at all, ever.
And you said you feel some of the blame, but the blame isn't solely on this family?
No.
I don't feel like it is. I felt like I was doing the Christian thing. I felt like I checked a registry that failed me. It didn't just fail me, it failed previous victims. If we don't have the tools necessary, how are we supposed to make decisions?
Good decisions.
Good ones. I thought I did.
But there's another side to the story too, and that's the side where the community, the city of Livingston, Polk County, all of East Texas came together. And that's a story that needs to go out too, is that just the people who turned out to help search for Audrey initially wanted to bring her home alive. I mean, that was incredible in itself. And then after her body was found, all the people who helped in that search, all the law enforcement that was out there, from all over the country, the FBI, the sheriffs, Texas Rangers, sheriff rescue teams from far away as Harris County came to help search for her. And ultimately they found her body. But we want to thank them. But even more so, we want to thank all the people who showed their love and concern. The hate is, to me, is far outweighed by the love. This is the way a community should come together. All the law enforcement worked together.
And they showed that they were concerned and they were hurt. They cried with me.
They prayed with us.
They've done more than just being law enforcement. They showed that they take their oaths very seriously to protect and serve, and they don't just serve a purpose for protection. They serve the purpose of the community. They've done nothing but been there for us, and I greatly appreciate them. They've shown a human side that nobody gets to see usually. They're also wound up in their traffic ticket or whatever they've done wrong, that they forget at the end of the day these people go home to their families. And then something like this, they've got to take home with them.
Yeah, a lot of them told us they have a daughter or son, Audrey's age, and that it pains them to think that a child has been abused like that.
Why the color purple?
Well, the story is interesting because as a painter, and she was even learning to tattoo, she loved all colors. But because Grandma loved purple, she kept telling me, purple's my favorite color too. And it's her father's favorite color. So it became a symbol of who she was.
The unity of our family. It was a common ground to stand on.
You talk about her dad, y'all's son. He's not here today. It's still a little bit too hard for him, right? I mean, how is he doing through all of this?
It's devastating. You lose your oldest child to something like this. Losing your child in the first place it's awful. And it tears him up. His son is constantly looking for his big sister. Nobody stops to think about the trauma people are causing him, causing my son, causing my grandson. Everybody wants to point the finger at him, and this was nothing he did. I was the one that made the decision to let him move into that camper. I was the one that thought I was doing the right thing. And you think my son would blame me for it, but he doesn't. He knows it. He knows he's the monster. He knows who the monster is.
Yeah, and he lives with us. He's struggling. He works on tugboats down in Houston. But it was a joint effort to raise Audrey between Joshua, Tabby, and his sister Julie. The three of them worked together, and the result is what everybody sees. She was just so happy. She was learning so much. She was looking forward to her life.
She was excited but scared. She was going to start junior high. She'll never get that chance.
Did it surprise you at all that Audrey captivated the country like she did?
Absolutely. I mean, she was a little girl. She had her faults. She stood in the corner, but she took her punishment, but she learned from it. But above that, she would bounce back and show her love even more. And between helping around the family and helping, like, VFW, a friend of hers worked there, serving food at the VFW. She constantly asked, could she go and help volunteer? She couldn't work, but she could volunteer, and she'd go dance with the older veterans and their wives, and she was learning to two-step and four-step and square dance and line dance, and they were just amazed by it. I guess that was an indication, but it went far beyond that. We couldn't imagine how much her story would catch on. And I mean, I don't think she's individual in this. I think that story happens in many neighborhoods with many children, but it happened to her, and we've just lost a valuable citizen of Polk County.
What is one of your favorite memories with Audrey?
Oh, there's so many. I think my favorite is that she was always there. I would come home from work and she'd be like, Grandma, do your feet hurt? Like, just random things that normal kids wouldn't see, and she just helped me, Grandma, your feet hurt? Well, let me massage your feet. And I know that sounds petty, and I know that sounds disgusting to people, but that's who she was. She didn't care. She wanted to help. And I think my favorite memory, honestly though, was when she was younger. She had dropped a piece of banana on the floor, and the shoes I was wearing didn't have any kind of traction. And I fell down the stairs from it. And years later, she'd be like, "Don't trip on a banana." She just had that sense of humor. She took something that was an accident and ended up with, a minor injury and just made it into a joke because she was just that kid. She could take the worst of something and make you smile.
And my favorite memory was how she loved the people around her. Her aunt, our daughter Julie, went to Japan for a year as an exchange student in high school about 5 years ago. And when we went to the airport to pick her up, forget about the barriers and you're not supposed to go across this line, when she saw her Auntie Julie walking down the pathway to us, covered in her luggage, and she busted down the barricade, went running up and jumped into her arms and would not let go. I mean, that's how much she loved her aunt and missed her. That was pure Audrey.
And has it settled in that she's no longer here, or is it still?
I keep waiting for her to come through the door. I keep hoping it's a miss, that somebody didn't identify her right or anything. It's a hope, but I know I can't get it back. But I still wake up in the mornings, I wake up hoping this is a bad dream and she's going to come run to me and hug me. But I know it can't happen. And I miss her so much.
If you could talk to her one more time, what would you say to her?
If I could talk to her one more time, I'd never let go. I'd tell her how much I love her, how much the family loves her, and how sorry I am that I wasn't able to protect her. Look, that I couldn't see that the devil was let into our house. And I beg for her forgiveness.
I would tell her to watch over us, watch over this family. I mean, I truly believe she's up there looking down on us. And you can see her grandma needs her support, and the whole world needs her love. And if she can continue to be that symbol of love, that's what I would like for her to do is keep that going.
And I want her to know I never give up. I'm never going to give up until nobody has to go through this again. Until we can get that law changed for her. And I wish it was there ahead of time. But to my dying breath, I will see this through. Because I couldn't protect her. But I'll be darned if I don't protect somebody else's child.
The country knows Audrii Cunningham's name. Do you want her name to stand for more than just this terrible situation and stand for change, stand for a law?
Yeah, I mean, we're going forward to honor the name of Audrii Cunningham. We're going to start a foundation and nonprofit. Everything will go to helping to promote Audrei's law and to help organizations that help children that have suffered through senseless violence. And there's a lot of organizations out there. Crime Stoppers have been working closely with them for many years. And if we can lend Audrei's name to that cause, that honors her life and what happened. And that's mainly what we want to do going forward, is to honor Audrii Cunningham, our little angel.
That's what she wants. I know she loves seeing all the love that's being dispersed, but the problem is there's so many people that are also spreading hate. They don't realize my granddaughter, if she was here and heard these things and saw those type of things, that it would destroy her. So rather than holding her up, they'd rather destroy somebody, especially that little girl. I want her memory to be of the love she was, of the love she still is, and not diminish who she was as a person.
This all progresses and moves forward. This criminal case will also progress. Have you, since this all started, have you had the opportunity to talk to McDougal one bit at all since she went missing?
I spoke with him while she was missing. In hopes he would tell us where she was, or what happened, or anything. And that's something also I have to live with. That man had the gall to tell us absolute lies to my face. And then hug me and call me mama. Because that's who he called me all the time. That's what I was. To him was a mom figure. And for him to lie to my face and then hug me and tell me, "I love you, mama, I'd never do anything to hurt her," it angers me to no end. So many things go through my mind about what I could have done at that point. But I didn't, 'cause I want justice. I just wanted her home. I wanted her safe.
He lied to you?
He lied to our faces, put the blame somewhere else, which you could see was an absolute lie. He was in jail when he's stating he was going to do that, so.
And that will come out in the trial. We don't want to dwell on that right now. He'll have his moment in court, and we will be there. I know Tabby will be there every single day of the trial to look him in the eye. And I know it won't erase what happened, but he will know what he has done and how it has affected us.
And he's going to know every day that I'm there, no matter how difficult it's going to be. I want him to see that I never gave up and I'm not giving up on her. And he will look at this face every day to remember how much pain he caused. And he's going to have to look at this face to know the last thing you said to me was an outright lie. And I'm not going to walk away and I'm not going to stand for it. I'm going to see justice.
Justice for Audrey.
I think the world wants to hear this, the answer to this question. If you could talk to him right now, right in front of you, what would you say to him?
There's nothing I could say that you could put on camera. Because I'm not a hateful person in general, but I feel nothing but outright hate and disdain for him. And there's not a word that would come out of my mouth that you could put on this camera, because ain't nothing I say going to be anything but hate-filled.
Yeah. My parents taught me something very valuable a long time ago. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I have nothing to say to him. Nothing.
He's not worth the air it would take. To me, in all honesty, between all of us, I tell him he's a waste of skin and oxygen. That he doesn't deserve the life that he breathes daily.
Is there anything else that I didn't ask that y'all wanted to talk about or mention?
I just want to make sure that everyone who is involved in the search for Audrey is recognized, from the general public, those who didn't even know her, but offered their well wishes, to the first responders, the fire departments, the sheriffs, all the law enforcement that helped bring Audrey home.
Even the media putting out there that they needed footage to find out where he had been. I want to thank them. All of y'all.
Yeah, we were asked initially not to speak to this press because of the ongoing search and the ongoing investigation, and we respected that. And now that has concluded, that's why we're out here to tell our side of the story, and to thank everybody for helping us through this tough period of time.
I also want to thank you and Miss Brizzy for always being respectful and understanding that we're people and we had emotions and we had things to get through. And no, we're not through them yet. But the respect from you and Miss Brizzy is why I'm open to you guys. Because there was no disrespect. There was nothing but well wishes. And I appreciate that greatly.
It means the world to us that you trust us. It really does. Those are heavy words, so thank you. And thank you for the timeline. I know it's not easy, but it's an honor to share Audrey's story. You all work with the world, so thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.